Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So in this video, we'll implement a drone behavior where the drone moves between two waypoints in the world. You can have more than two waypoints, but for this tutorial, I'll cover two waypoints where the flying AI moves between two waypoints. So let's get started. The Unreal editor. So click on games. We'll do a first person, and then we'll do drone tutorial project. It already exists, so we'll do tutorial. Click create. So once the project starts, this is the default template where we walk around, shoot stuff. So once that is done, let's create a new folder here. Name it AI, and in that let's create a new blueprint class. Let it be from a character bp underscore drone. So once you have it, let's add a mesh here. So in the mesh, we'll just add a skeletal mesh, which is a cube. This is our drone. Let's keep this here, and we'll add another one. Let's make it a sphere. And then let's add another one, a cube. Let's make it shaped like a drone. Okay, now that's done. So let's create essentials for this particular drone. So for that, we first have to create a controller class. Click on all classes. Click on AI controller. Let's click on this and then make it bp underscore AI cat controller. So once that is done, let's go back to the drone. Let's click on self, and then here we have to search for controller bp underscore AI controller. Okay, so we have that. Now we have to add two variables here, which are two waypoints. So waypoint 1, let it be of type actor, and waypoint 2, which is another actor. So we need to move between these two waypoints. Or instead of having two different waypoints, let's have one and name it as waypoints. Let it be an actor and an array of actors. So we don't have to have two, we can have it multiple waypoints in that way. Okay, that's compiled successfully. So once you have it, now let's go back and click on new folder, essentials. Here we'll create one artificial intelligence. We'll create a behavior tree. So bt underscore drone, and we'll create another artificial intelligence blackboard. So it's bb underscore drone. Let's save all. Now we need to in this particular behavior tree, we need to run a particular task. for it to move from one waypoint to another. So let's create a new task and name it btt underscore move between points. Let's save it. So once you save it, you have a btt underscore move between waypoints. So let's drag this here, sequence, and let's name it move between waypoints, between points. Let's give the node name as move between points. So once that is done, let's go back to move between points and we have to receive execute. For now, let's see in the event begin play. Let's get the reference to self, get AI controller, and then let's run behavior tree. That behavior tree is BT drone. Once that is done, let's check if it is working. Let's drag our drone here. And as you can see, it's running successfully. Okay, now we'll create another blueprint class. Let's have an actor component class and add as flying component. So in the begin play, we get the owner, cast to character, get character movement, and then we'll set the gravity scale to be 0. So once that is done, let's go back here and reduce the scale to 1. And once running, we need to add this particular component to our BP underscore drone. So once that is done, as you can see, it stays on the air, it doesn't fall now. Okay, that's taken care now. So the next step is to add 2 waypoints. So for that, let's add 2 actors. So let's create a blueprint class actor and name it waypoint. It's just an empty class. So let's place one here and one here. So it has to move between these 2 points. So in order to, let's click on this particular drone and look for waypoints in details. We have to make it public to be seen in the editor. So let's compile this, and now we'll have a waypoint. So we have it here. So let's click on plus. Let's search for waypoint, which is waypoint 1, and then another is waypoint 2. So it has to move between these 2 waypoints. Let's save it. So once that is done, let's go back to our task, and in our task, let's override execute AI, cast to drone, cast to BP underscore drone, and then promote it to variable. Once you set it, let's check if it is valid. And once it's valid, we get the control pawn, we get the character movement. Let's get the character movement from the BP drone. And then we promote it to a variable and set it as character movement. Ref. It's a reference, we would need this for future use. So only if it's valid, we move ahead. Now let's create a new function. Get location of waypoint. Let's make it a pure function. Now we'll get the drone. And then we get the, so we need to have another variable here, which is the current waypoint. This should not be an array, this should be a single actor. Save it, Ctrl S, save. Now let's get the current waypoint. And we'll check if it is valid. If it is valid, we'll just return that particular waypoint direction. Let's click on function parameter and click location, which is a vector. So if it's valid, we return that particular waypoint's location so that it can go to that. If it is not valid, then we have to do certain operations. So for that, let's do this. Let's get the drone. Let's get the waypoints. We have to do a reverse. Let's promote it to a variable here called waypoints. So once that is done, let's do a reverse for each loop. A reverse for each loop is basically like a for each loop, but it's in the reverse from the last element to the first element. We are doing this to delete a particular element in the waypoint. We have to do this. Suppose we have reached the end of the current waypoint. We don't want it to again go to the current waypoint. So we have to remove the current waypoint in the waypoints and then pick up an element from that waypoint and move, place the current waypoint as the new one. So I'll show it how to do that. So let's do equal to, if it is equal to the current waypoint, the waypoints, branch it. So what we do is we remove that particular waypoint. If it is true. And then after completing it, we get the waypoints, we get the last index, we do a get copy, and then we do a random integer in range from 0 to the last index. Once you do that, you get the actor location, and you also need to set to the current waypoint here. So drone set current waypoint, click on completed, and then let's type this here, and then we have to do the return node again. To this. So that's basically what the get location of waypoint does. Now let's go back to our event graph, and after getting the current movement reference, Now let's add two variables called elevation height, which is a float, and then we'll add another variable called speed, which is also a float. So now let's first check if the drone, get the actor location of the drone, and we have to check if it is equal to let's give this as 50, and this should be equal. So we are checking if the drone location is over top of the waypoint location. So for that we have to get the drone, we have to get location of waypoint, we have to add, let's split the struct, and once you do that you have to drag in the elevation height. So this will give you the height of the drone. So once you get the height of the drone, when you add it, it comes down to the actor location. So when you check which is equal to that, we have to add a branch here, and if you have reached the top, we have to set the velocity here of the drone to 0, so it doesn't have to move around once it reaches the location. And then we have to reset the current waypoint. So for that we need to get the drone, search for current waypoint and set it to null. So this resets the current waypoint, and then we'll call finish execute with the success. Now suppose if the drone has not reached the point, then we have to move the drone to the to the waypoint location. So for that what we need to do is we have to get the drone, get its actor location, and then we have to do a get unit direction, and the from should be the actor location. So from the actor location to get waypoint, get location of waypoint. Let's do the add again. We need to add the elevation height for it. Split the struct, drag the elevation, and then you add it. Then we have to drag it to the 2. And once you get the unit vector, we have to multiply the speed, multiply it into the speed. So once you do that, we get the character ref, we set the velocity, to the character movement ref, and once you do that, we just finish the execute, compile and save it. So we have to make this public, compile and save it, and now in the blueprint task, in the move between points, let's give a elevation height and a speed. Let's give the elevation height as 500 and speed as 300. Let's save it. So once you do that, let's run the game. Okay, so there was an issue, so we need to initially I had put sequence here. In short sequence it should be a selector. So if you give a selector here, as you can see, the drone will move between two waypoints. So it's been successfully implemented. Thank you for watching. Please do like, share and subscribe. It goes a long way to help me. Thanks a lot.